Welcome back to Dr. Walls and Friends here at the Mega Martial Arts Weekend at the Tropicana Hotel in Atlantic City. We are live on the Sisters in Harmony Network and Africa TV1, and I am here with Art Camacho. How are you doing?
Really, really good. And now better to have a beautiful woman next to me and a great show. Woo.
Yes, yes. Well, you know, we were talking off camera, and just what an amazing story. You know, coming to the martial arts, I get a chance to meet so many different people, and a lot of time I meet people who are just doing the martial arts and people who have moved into their own systems and schools. Your martial arts path is a lot different.
A little bit.
Yes.
A little bit. You know, and one thing that I didn't tell you is that I was really, when I trained martial arts, and in general, I was a fat, overweight kid who just had no talent, no skills, and I was always at the bottom of the class. Whenever I trained, everybody was so far ahead of me, so I'd go home and work hard and come back to class, and they'd be 10 steps ahead of me then.
Yes.
You know? So I really had to work 10 times harder than everyone else, because I was never athletic at all. And I did martial arts initially for self-defense.
Yes.
And then the Lord opened these doors, and it took me in the direction of films, because that's always been a passion of mine. Movies, watching movies. As a kid, you know, you come from a broken home, bad neighborhood. My escape was comic books and TV.
Okay. And so now tell the people what it is, how you started out in film, and where you are now, what your journey has been.
In a nutshell, the Reader's Digest version is I was training a lot with my Sifu, Eric Lee, and out of the blue he calls me up one night, and I can't do the Chinese accent, but he says, Art, you want to get your butt kicked for 50 bucks? At first I thought I had to pay him, but I was going to do it anyway. So I said, okay, cool. And that was it. I didn't know. I show up on a set with Don the Dragon Wilson, and you know, they say, okay, you're going to do a fight right now, and you're going to get your butt kicked. And okay, I said, where's the 50 bucks?
Right.
And that was it. And I was really good at it for whatever reason.
You were really good at getting your butt kicked, or
Absolutely.
what?
Absolutely. See, I got the scars to prove it. I'm the master. They call me the grandmaster of getting your butt kicked.
That's it. So you did that for a while, and then it transitioned.
Yes, because what happened is that then I became a stuntman and an actor, because I also got I starred in a couple of these forgettable films, but then I found my niche in terms of the fight choreography, which wasn't being done at the time. I became, you know, since I was a kid, you're always doing the, you know, your pretend fights and all that stuff, and that was it. I mean, you know, I started doing that. I became a SAG member of the Screen Actors Guild.
Yes.
And I started doing a lot of films as a fighter, as a stuntman. And then, out of the blue, I had producers asking me if I wanted to choreograph these fight films.
Wow.
And I was very lucky. I didn't understand it at the time, so I went home, started watching movies and TV and all that stuff. And, you know, 20 films later, I had producers asking me if I wanted to direct films.
Look at that.
In 1 year, I had 2 producers ask me.
Wow.
And I got signed on, and the rest was history.
That's incredible. That is incredible. You know, it's interesting. I'm someone who has always loved martial arts movies and grew up watching Kung Fu theater.
Oh, yes.
And so now when I watch martial arts films, it's very interesting to see people who know martial arts and have been choreographed versus those who don't know martial arts and are being choreographed.
A lot of times, give you an idea, one thing that I'm also known for is for teaching. Because I give seminars around the world. I've given them in Germany, India, obviously a lot in the States. I just did one last week here in Long Island. I did one in Chihuahua, Mexico. I'm doing them all around the country and the world in between films.
Wonderful.
And one of the most important things to me is to not teach martial arts per se, but teach movement. Teach persona.
Yes.
You know, which is very important, just like what you said. I mean, because you can tell a lot of times when they're cheating, and these people, you know, especially in the influx of the Hong Kong films, they use a lot of what they call wire work.
Yes.
Where you're hanging on cables.
Yes.
And that in itself is an art form, because you have to look natural.
That's right.
You know, one of the masters is Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
You know, you can't see him on wires. I mean, literally, you feel that he's actually...
exactly.
Yeah.
And then you try.
Yeah.
Like Crouching Tiger. I can't tell you how many leaves I crushed trying to stamp one.
I tried jumping off a roof and it didn't work. So
right, exactly.
I didn't reach that tree.
That's right. So now what? So you've done the choreography, you've done producing, we talked on camera.
Yes, I've directed. I've been very blessed to win some awards for directing.
Yes.
And then I started producing and writing.
Yes.
And the one thing thing in films or in any career, especially in this movie industry, I mean, you're either going to be at the mercy of that call for that job,
yes,
or you're going to be proactive. And that's what I started doing in the last 5-6 years, because I got so burnt out because I was working independent films for my own films. Then I was getting hired by studios, Sony, Lionsgate, and it wasn't as rewarding, because a lot of times, a lot of the bigger people, they have the attitude that you're making a pizza. Making a cheese pizza, blah, blah, put it in the oven, get it out, or delivering a product. Whereas I'm an artist. I like to create art. Yes. And so what happened, especially this year, I started more doing, you know, finding investment groups, finding the right projects, and doing a lot of stuff where I'm going to be proactive, creating, working on web series, and working on independent features that I'll either write myself or hire writers based on my ideas.
Gotcha. Now, you know, one thing that you mentioned was your passion and your purpose, and that whether people refer to it as God or the universe or the creator, however, that you felt as though you were kind of pushed in this direction.
Number one, I can't escape the fact that I'm Latino. I'm a person of color. Yes. And still growing up, even though it was still, you know, it wasn't as bad as it was for my older brothers and parents, there was a hint of racism where I grew up. Okay. And so it made me be embarrassed as a little kid of speaking Spanish, number one, because that was my first language. Okay. And number two, of being this color. Yes. And that's not a good thing. No. That's a terrible thing, regardless of where you are. Regardless. And so one thing that's deep down inside, I always felt a need to work 10 times harder than a lighter skinned person. Yes. Because I felt I have to do it. I have that going against me right off the bat. In my head, I'm already behind square one because I'm Latin. Yes. So I have to work 10 times harder. And that's the attitude I have. And what happens is that I think, and I felt strongly, that God put me here to do what I'm doing right now. Okay. And it's not that I think I'm better. I'm just the most humble person. I'm being totally honest with you. I'm in this room with all these great martial artists, and I am humbled. Yes. I am so humbled to be in their presence, in your presence, and I'm very blessed to be here with you. Yes. But I think that if we show people like yourself as successful and what you're doing, you're a role model. Yes. You're a role model, because little kids out there seeing somebody of color doing this stuff. That's right. That's awesome. That's right. They're seeing this darn little Mexican here. You know, because growing up, my whole universe was just that neighborhood. I grew up in that neighborhood, and that's all it was. Most people born, live, and die. Nothing wrong with it. But when I started doing martial arts, and when I got closer to God, and when I started doing films, the universe became the world. Oh, look at that. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Sometimes I would pinch myself when I'm in Germany working with Steven Seagal. Yes. I was the only Mexican there. Yeah, right, right. You know? Yes. I'm in India. Yes. I'm in England. I'm in Japan. I mean, I grew up here I grew up there in California, Southern California, but yet here I was in the Midwest, and then here in Atlantic City. My God. And this is the little kid from the barrio who just, you know, we were poor. Yeah. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So give a message, what's a word of inspiration that you can give out to the world? I think the most important thing is not to be afraid to dream, and not to be afraid to pursue your dreams. I love it. I had so many people, and I remember specifically this uncle of mine who loved me dearly. He was a great human being, but he was of the thinking that if you're not working a 9 to 5, it's not real. Right. I told him my passion when I was a young teen. I said, I want to do movies. And he sat me down and he said, look, mijo, I love you very much, but I'm paraphrasing. You're butt ugly, you have no talent, and you have no personality, so please stick to a real job. And that crushed me. And he did it lovingly. I mean, I'm using these words, but he did it lovingly. And that crushed me. Yeah. It crushed me because I dreamed. I thought, you know, one day I could probably maybe be in movies. I mean, and then when he told me that, somebody who I admired and looked up to, it really broke me. Yeah. For several years, I gave up on that dream. Yeah. And I was following a different path. And then, I don't know what it was, the Lord took me back. Yes. He took me back into this path. And to this day, I'm very self-conscious about my appearance, but yet I've been in magazine covers, I've been all over the world. It's like, I see that person, you know, that's Art Camacho, I like him. Yes. I don't associate myself with the guy you see on the screen. It's like, you know, it's kind of weird. Yeah. You know?
That's amazing. So what I'm hearing is watch what people say to you and hold on fast to your dreams.
Hold on fast to your dreams.
Yes.
Hold on fast. I mean, my biggest idols are, number one, Bruce Lee, obviously. But I look to people like Walt Disney.
Yes.
I mean, you know, who thinks of a mouse?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who thinks of that? Look at what Steve Jobs did with Apple.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about the monetary. I'm talking about the influence.
Yes.
And the inspiration.
Yes.
You know?
It's huge.
It's huge.
It is huge.
I think of creative people like Stan Lee. Look at the worlds he created. You know?
It's the absolute truth.
And to me, I'm telling you, sometimes when I write and I work with people like Martin Cove or Fred the Hammer Williams, I've done a few films with him, it is so cool because in my head I'm thinking, I wrote that.
Yes.
I wrote that. He's saying my words. Wow. Go figure.
That's right. And I can't even say who would have thought, because you did think.
Yeah.
You knew it when you were younger, and it happened. And somewhere inside you, even though something crushed you for a little while, your spirit was not ever crushed.
No.
And it continued to thrive and strive.
Absolutely. And the thing is, and I hate to push this because again, everybody has their own religious beliefs, and I respect everybody, no matter what religion. But I believe strongly in the Lord, and I believe that He brought me here and set me right here and done everything. And if tomorrow it all ends, I'm very happy with what I've done.
All right.
Of course, I'm always wanting to do bigger, better. You're always going to want to do that. But I look back.
Yes.
I keep looking back, and I think of all the times that sometimes we get depressed, sometimes we're sad, and I think of how blessed. I got nothing to complain about. How blessed am I to be that you're even interested in talking to me?
Yes.
I swear to you, I'm not faking humility. I'm embarrassed. I'm very thank you.
Well, I thank you. I thank you so much for sharing that.
God bless you.
Yes, God bless you as well. And we will be back shortly on Dr. Walls and Friends.
Let's do it.